In the headlines of VTV News, Prime Minister chairs National Committee for Education and Training Innovation. Foreign direct investment attraction sees bright prospects. And later on in our world news, Iran warns Israel of retaliation following consulate airstrike.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello there and welcome to VTV News, broadcast live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham. Here's the top news of the hour. On Thursday, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính, chairman of the National Committee for Education and Training Innovation, chaired the committee's meeting on innovation and development of preschool education to 2030, vision to 2045.
Opinions at the evaluation session show that preschool education has made important developments in the skill and quality. The whole country has completed universal preschool education for 5-year-old students. The network of preschool classes is constantly being strengthened, expanded, and diversified. The rate of mobilizing children in kindergartens 3 to 4 years old and 4 to 5 years old gradually increases every year. However, there's still challenges that need great effort to overcome. Speaking at the meeting, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính affirmed that preschool education plays a particularly important role in the national education system and in the strategy for developing Vietnam's human resources. The party and government determined that education training along with science and technology is the top national policy and has developed many policies and guidelines on fundamentals and comprehensive innovations of education and training, including early childhood education.
At the preschool level, we lack teachers, lack facilities, and have unequal access to preschool education, especially in remote areas, border areas, islands, and disadvantaged people. Therefore, there needs to be mechanisms and policies to mobilize resources, human and material. In addition, the government must resolve problems related to taxes, land, credits, and socialization. Solving the above problem will remove difficulties for preschool education.
The Prime Minister assigned the Ministry of Education and Training to coordinate with ministries, branches, and localities to complete documents and record thoroughly, scientifically, with clear and coherent content, providing accurate data to submit to the competent authorities for consideration. The Prime Minister assigned Deputy Prime Minister Trần Hồng Hà to continue directing this task.
Politburo member, Secretary of the Party's Central Committee, Chief Justice of the Supreme People's Court, Nguyễn Hòa Bình, chaired a conference to collect comments on the draft law on justice for minors held in Quảng Ninh on Thursday. At the conference, he said that minors are susceptible to risks and are often confused when faced with legal issues. The draft law on justice for minors has made maximum reference to international experience and has been fully updated from the current inadequacies of domestic law. It is to provide regulations that are strict enough to protect security, order, and prevent criminals, while still paving the way for minors to reintegrate when they commit violations. At the conference, experts made comments on some major contents of the draft law, such as regulations on diversion measures for juvenile offenders and juvenile-friendly penalties and proceedings. ASEAN finance ministers and central bank governors held a meeting with the EU-ASEAN Business Council, the U.S.-ASEAN Business Council, and the APEC Business Advisory Council in Laos on Thursday. Participants exchanged views on related regional and global issues such as green finance and fintech, digital transformation, and cross-border digital payment connection. They took note of the important role and contributions of partners in ASEAN's business sectors, in supporting the bloc's initiatives to promote the regional economic agenda towards sustainable, resilient, and comprehensive growth. The Vietnamese side introduced the country's monetary policy and monetary cooperation initiatives, affirming that finance and green growth are one of Vietnam's top priorities. Now, the first quarter of this year saw foreign direct investment or FDI attraction increase in both quantity and quality. Investors continue to trust Vietnam with over $6.1 billion in registered capital, with realized capital reaching over $4.6 billion, the highest in the past 5 years. The numbers show that the quality of the business investment environment is increasingly improving. Along with that, the readiness of domestic enterprises to participate in the supply chain helps global businesses feel secure in investing in Vietnam.
More than $800 million is the total investment to build an electric and hybrid vehicle factory, with an output of 200,000 cars per year. The joint venture between a new energy vehicle brand and a Vietnamese enterprise meets Vietnam's green development orientation.
We expect this joint venture with a Vietnamese enterprise to have enough capacity to produce electric car and hybrid car models. Vietnam's advantage, it has huge potentials in high-tech industrial productions.
This land is ready to build this investor's third solar battery factory worth $454 million. With the support of the local authorities, within just 10 days, the business completed all procedures to disperse this investment.
A local team supported us with the handling of administrative procedures. The priority now is to put the factory into operation soon, in the context that we have exceeded expected output for the first quarter of this year and have no inventory.
In the first months of the year, the top localities attracting and dispersing FDI capital are all large industrial centers with favorable infrastructure. In particular, Tien Nguyen, in the past 3 years, has focused on investing in synchronous infrastructure and inter-regional connections to prepare for investors.
The road connecting Bắc Giang, Thái Nguyên, Vĩnh Phúc provinces, with a capital of nearly $170 million, and Ring Road 5 connecting Thái Nguyên and Bắc Giang, with a capital of over $28 million, will help create industrial land fund to attract investors in the area.
For foreign investment capital to be realized, it is necessary for sectors and localities to make efforts to improve infrastructure along with the investment environment and administrative reform.
Credit growth reached 0.26% in Q1 this year. To increase the ability to absorb capital for the economy, the banking industry is implementing a variety of solutions, one of which is granting credit online.
This enterprise is preparing to expand its production line and import input materials, needing additional capital of about $12 million. Have chosen a service with an interest rate of about 5.5% per year.
Not only do you have complete information about the bank you are targeting, but you can also evaluate the interest rates, services, and support information of this bank compared to other banks to make accurate loan decisions.
After borrowing, if you want to continue dispersing more, customers, whether businesses or individuals, do not need to make a new application or wait for approval, but only need to rely on cash flow to receive an increase from the bank online.
Based on the history of cash flow transactions at the bank can immediately propose and grant credit at the time the customer needs it. The bank will offer a solution and immediate disbursement.
In the first 3 months of the year, Vietnam's trade surplus was more than $8 billion. For the convenience of import-export businesses, many activities were also digitized to increase efficiency when opening credit at banks.
Customers have full control over the entire journey from applying for bank loan approval to disbursement, and using that amount to pay for their orders and import-export activities.
Concerning the legal basis for electronic lending of the State Bank, coordination with the Ministry of Public Security is needed to purify the credit data of more than 40 million customers. This also helps improve the accuracy and transparency of the bank's transactions.
Coming up next, all resources for Dien Bien Phu victory mobilized. And process and technical guidelines for low-emission rice production introduced. You're watching VTV News. The Ministry of National Defense and the Ministry of Public Security co-directed the inspection and training of a grand military parade to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the Dien Bien Phu victory at the National Military Training Center 4 on Thursday. Over 3,200 members of all military and militia forces participate in the parade. On behalf of the Ministry of National Defense and the Ministry of Public Security, General Phan Van Giang praised the efforts of all forces. He requested them to continue to promote the highest spirit of training, discipline, high concentration during the rehearsals. According to the plan, the military parade will be held at Dien Bien Phu Provincial Stadium on May the 7th. "70 years ago, after the decision to launch the Dien Bien Phu campaign, a Front Supply Council chaired by Deputy Prime Minister Phạm Văn Đồng was also established. At that time, "All for the front line, all for victory" was not only a slogan but also an action order that was enthusiastically responded to by people in free areas as well as in temporarily occupied areas. So much human and material energy was directed towards Dien Bien Phu to prepare for an unprecedented major battle in the resistance war against the French.
At Thanh Hóa Provincial Museum, there is a room of artifacts from the years of resistance against the French colonialists. The story of this cargo bicycle will probably never be repeated.
We carried supplies from Station 1 to Station 2, from Station 2 to Station 3, and gradually transported supplies to the station and back. If we were growing up from the Hopping Slope, everyone slept in the forest, spread a raincoat on the ground, broke off some branches and leaves and spread them to lie down.
At first it was rice, and then it was all artillery shells. For Cannon 105 shells, initially we transported one vehicle with 4 shells, later we had 8 shells each. In my group there was one soldier who carried 10 shells and got medal for it.
During the Dien Bien Phu campaign, about 30,000 bicycles were mobilized to transport food and ammunition. More than 26,000 conscripted laborers contributed 14 million man-days of work with young volunteers to break drugs and open the shortest roads towards the front. Both teachers and students of the medical university were present on the battlefield to treat wounded soldiers so they could return to combat. 70 years ago, it was a fire coordinate and a bomb bag for most of the campaign. Bombs and bullets could not stop the will and courage of the soldiers, young volunteers, and conscripted laborers.
The most important thing is to avoid the enemy's bomb. There is a team arranged to sit on a high tree. After the plane leaves, they spotted the bomb with red, and the bomb destruction teams will come. Defusing bombs like this is like going down the road to death, so it requires brave soldiers.
The wheelbarrow lies quietly at the Dien Bien Province Museum after completing its historic mission. Part of the wheel is made from altar planks, sacrificing even the most sacred things for the goal of national independence. That is also the clearest proof of the spirit of determination to protect the country.
According to forecasts, this April, drought and saltwater intrusion in the southern localities will peak. Rainfall will also be 30 to 60% lower than average, affecting people's lives and production. The general solution to combat drought and saltwater intrusion is to increase freshwater storage and invest in a dam system to prevent salinity. However, there are also other solutions to adapt to harsh weather patterns, such as converting crop structure in a direction that uses less water resources.
It has been nearly 3 months since the rice harvest of the winter spring crop, but farmers in Nyonchak district, Dong Nai province, still cannot sow seeds for new crop. Prolonged drought causes freshwater reserves in small canals to dry up. At the river mouth, salt water penetrates deeply, so it is impossible to pump water in for crops.
We expect this year's drought to be more severe and the salinity penetrates deeper. Salinity keeps rising with no signs of decreasing.
Unable to leave the land vacant for a long time, this farmer decided to switch to growing sugarcane and lemongrass. Although they are so affected by drought, sugarcane and lemongrass are more drought-resistant than rice. Since switching crops, he has been able to harvest lemongrass with an efficiency much higher than rice.
Lemongrass and sugarcane can grow amid hot weather.
At the moment, drought has caused canals in the area to become shallow, problematic for traveling by boats, so people have not been able to grow rice.
Currently, the salinity level in Phukli Sluice is 6 parts per thousand. At Ong Kiao Sluice is 12 parts per thousand. Meanwhile, the tolerance of most crops is less than 2 parts per thousand. Therefore, converting crops is used less water for irrigation is a solution implemented by many localities to adapt to drought and saline intrusion.
The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, in collaboration with the International Rice Research Institute, or IRI, on Thursday introduced the process and technical guidelines for high-quality and low-emission rice production in the Mekong Delta. The program is part of a sustainable development project of 1 million hectares of specialized rice cultivation associated with green growth in this area. The process covers all stages of rice production, including 3 components of cultivation techniques: harvest and post-harvest and straw management. The goal of the project is to reduce input costs by 30%, increase profit margins for rice growers, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions into the environment. Thai Princess Maha Chakri Sirindorn performed a 50-minute musical, Vietnam at Peace, or Vietnam An Lòng, at Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok on March the 26th. The performance was part of the university's 107th founding anniversary celebrations. The event attracted more than 1,500 attendees, including Thai scholars, intellectuals, officials, and foreign diplomats. The musical was based on a 68-line poem created by the princess. It highlighted her impressions of Vietnam's stunning landscapes and people, and it was adapted into 9 songs featuring both Vietnamese and Thai music. The performance was a fusion of ensemble, choir, and dance, and involved nearly 150 artists. The princess, wearing a traditional Vietnamese long dress, played the so dang, a 2-stringed musical instrument from Thailand. Cat Tien National Park, also known as Nam Cat Tien Tourist Area, boasts a diverse and unique ecosystem recognized by UNESCO as a World Biosphere Reserve. It serves as a fascinating destination for nature enthusiasts who wish to explore the marvels of the natural world and embark on unforgettable experiences.
Located at the transitional zone from the south-central highlands of the southern delta, Cat Tien National Park holds a strategic position at the convergence of the Dong Nai River, demonstrating both intensity and gentleness in its flow. The park is completely isolated from the nearby residential areas.
I found myself deeply impressed by the towering ancient trees, the flowing rivers, and the expanses of lush greenery within.
Visitors can access the park by crossing the Dong Nai River by boat. The tranquil dawn air and the melodic singing of birds and the sight of centuries-old giant trees all help to dispel any sense of fatigue. Dien Forest is home to several ancient trees, including thung tree, crepe myrtle, banyan, and curtain fig. These trees are enormous, with roots often larger than a human. Clear streams weave through the forest, forming picturesque natural landscapes. These streams not only add to the beauty, but also nurture the trees and animals residing within the park.
Upon my arrival here, I was surprised to find that everything appeared much the same as it did around 20 years ago when I was a student.
Dien National Park is not only home to towering ancient trees, but it also houses a variety of intriguing natural wonders, ready for exploration by tourists and researchers.
Coming up next in our world news, Iran warns Israel of retaliation following consulate airstrike. An Israeli army chief says strike killing 8 workers was grave mistake. Iran said on Wednesday it would take drastic action in response to an Israeli airstrike that killed 2 Iranian generals and 5 military advisors at its embassy compound in Syria, raising the risk of further escalation in conflict in the Middle East. Iran has also stated that Israel's attack has violated the founding UN Charter, international law, and also cited several conventions. Tehran emphasized that they have complete legal rights to respond to the attack. Israel has not claimed a responsibility for the airstrike, which destroyed a consular building adjacent to the main embassy complex. Now, in a video message on Wednesday, Israel's defense chief said that the strike that killed 8 workers in Gaza was a grave mistake. He said that the event was a consequence of a misidentification at night. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also said that Israel deeply regrets the tragic incident, adding that the country will do everything so that events like this won't happen again. The 8 workers killed in Monday's strike were working at the World Central Kitchen charity, one of 2 NGOs spearheading efforts to distribute aid in the Gaza conflict. The aftermath saw a swift and fierce international response, with the UN Secretary General and leaders of several countries demanding an investigation. The White House on Tuesday directed NASA to establish a unified standard of time for the moon and other celestial bodies as the United States aims to set international norms in space amid a growing lunar race among nations and private companies. The differing gravitational force and potentially other factors on the moon change how time unfolds relative to how it is perceived on Earth. Having a standard time would provide a time-keeping benchmark for lunar spacecraft and satellites that require extreme precision. Without a unified lunar time standard, it would be challenging to ensure data integrity and synchronized communications between Earth, lunar satellites, bases, and astronauts. Artificial intelligence is all the buzz right now, but British scientists are using to track a different kind of buzz, the invasive yellow-legged hornet, which preys on native beehives, threatening honey production and ecological balance in the UK, mainland Europe, and the US.
A team from the University of Exeter is bringing AI into the fight against the yellow-legged hornets, which prey on native bee and wasp populations, threatening agriculture.
The issue with these hornets really is the fact that they prey or predate upon a large range of native pollinators. And specifically, this includes honeybees, and they cause real issues for beekeepers because they cause the death of colonies by preying on their hives in large numbers, which then stops the bees from foraging, and then they generally then starve over the winter because they don't have enough food.
They have developed an AI-driven system, called VESP AI, which lures hornets into a monitoring station and captures images, enabling the system to identify the menacing hornets with remarkable accuracy.
So what we're trying to do with the VESP AI system is really bring a completely automated process. So a monitor that can be awake, the whole time, vigilant the whole time, and that doesn't require human input to be constantly checking for incursions of the hornets.
The AI system has been tested on the island of Jersey, where it successfully distinguished between different species of hornets and other insects, even in large numbers. As the UK witnessed record numbers of hornet sightings in 2023, VESP AI may prove to be a powerful tool in bolstering exclusion efforts.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. See you again at 3 p.m. local time. Goodbye for now.